Welcome to the Principles in Man, selections from Theosophy's sacred teachings in The Key to Theosophy, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, vegetarian, was born in 1831 into a noble family in Ukraine or Urane. As a child, young Helena displayed a gift for clairvoyance as well as an interest in metaphysical phenomena. Years later, she traveled throughout Europe, the Middle East, and India, studying with various teachers and Sufi saints. Following the guidance of an Indian yogi named Mahatma Maurya, vegetarian, Madame Blavatsky, vegetarian, co-founded the Theosophical Society. Theosophy, meaning divine wisdom, refers to knowledge that comes through spiritual experience rather than intellectual understanding alone. The Theosophical Society is dedicated to uplifting humanity through a realization of the oneness of life and the wisdom underlying all religions. Madame Blavatsky wrote several important books on Theosophy, including Isis Unveiled, The Secret Doctrine, The Key to Theosophy, and The Voice of the Silence. The Key to Theosophy unlocks the door that leads to a deeper study of Theosophy. In contrast to other Theosophy volumes, it is written in simple explanatory language. Readers are thus able to more easily understand its fundamental principles. Today on Words of Wisdom, we invite you to join us for excerpts from The Key to Theosophy. On the various post-mortem state, on the various principles in man. The Theosophist stated, first of all, spirit in the sense of the absolute, and therefore indivisible all, or Atma, as this can neither be located nor limited in philosophy, being simply that which is in eternity, and which cannot be absent from even the tiniest geometrical or mathematical point of the universe of matter or substance. It ought not to be called, in truth, a human principle at all. Rather, and at best, it is in metaphysics, that point in space which the human monad and its vehicle man occupy for the period of every life. Now, that point is as imaginary as man himself, and in reality is an illusion, a maya. But then, for ourselves, as for other personal egos, we are a reality during that fit of illusion called life, and we have to take ourselves into account, in our own fancy at any rate, if no one else does. To make it more conceivable to the human intellect, when first attempting the study of occultism and to solve the ABC of the mystery of man, occultism calls this seventh principle the synthesis of the six, and gives it for vehicle the spiritual soul, buddhi. Now, the latter conceals a mystery, which is never given to anyone with the exception of irrevocably pledged chelas, or those, at any rate, who can be safely trusted. Of course, there would be less confusion could it only be told. But as this is directly concerned with the power of projecting one's double consciously and at will, and as this gift, like the ring of Gyges, would prove very fatal to man at large and to the possessor of that faculty in particular, it is carefully guarded. But let us proceed with the principles. This divine soul, or buddhi, then, is the vehicle of the spirit. In conjunction, these two are one, impersonal and without any attributes, on this plane, of course, and make two spiritual principles. If we pass on to the human soul, manas or mans, everyone will agree that the intelligence of man is dual, to say the least. Example, the high-minded man can hardly become low-minded. The very intellectual and spiritual-minded man is separated by an abyss from the obtuse, dull, and material, if not animal-minded man. The inquirer asked, "But why should not man be represented by two principles or two aspects rather?" The Theosophist replied, "Every man has these two principles in him, one more active than the other, and in rare cases, one of these is entirely stunted in its growth, so to say, or paralyzed by the strength and predominance of the other aspect, in whatever direction." These, then, are what we call the two principles or aspects of manas, the higher and the lower. The former, the higher manas, or the thinking, conscious ego gravitating toward the spiritual soul, or buddhi, and the latter, or its instinctual principle, attracted to kama, the seat of desires and passions in man. Thus, we have four principles justified, the last three being: 1. The double, which we have agreed to call protean, or plastic soul, the vehicle of 2. The life principle, and 3. The physical body. Of course, no physiologist or biologist will accept these principles, nor can he make head or tail of them. And this is why, perhaps, none of them understand to this day either the functions of the spleen, the physical vehicle of the protean double, or those of a certain organ on the right side of man, the seat of the above-mentioned desires, nor yet does he know anything of the pineal gland, which he describes as a horny gland with a little sand in it, which gland is in truth the very seat of the highest and divinest consciousness in man, his omniscient, spiritual, and all-embracing mind. And this shows to you still more plainly that we have neither invented these 7 principles, nor are they new in the world of philosophy, as we can easily prove. The inquirer questioned, "But what is it that reincarnates, in your belief?" The Theosophist explained, "The spiritual thinking ego, the permanent principle in man, or that which is the seat of manas. It is not Atma or even Atma Buddhi, regarded as the dual monad, which is the individual or divine man, but manas, for Atman is the universal all and becomes the higher self of man only in conjunction with Buddhi, its vehicle, which links it to the individuality or divine man. For it is the Buddhi manas, which is called the causal body, and which is consciousness, that connects it with every personality it inhabits on earth. Therefore, soul being a generic term, there are in man 3 aspects of soul: the terrestrial or animal, the human soul, and the spiritual soul. These, strictly speaking, are one soul in its 3 aspects. Now of the first aspect, nothing remains after death. Of the second, nous, or manas, only its divine essence, if left unsoiled, survives, while the third, in addition to being immortal, becomes consciously divine by the assimilation of the higher manas. For more information, please visit Project Gutenberg, gutenberg.org.
If we want to end human-on-human violence, veganism is required. If we want a world in which justice comes before profit, veganism is required. To truly implement a vegan lifestyle, one has to embrace it in every aspect of their lives. Dr. Roger Yates, PhD, vegan.
Magnanimous viewers, it was a pleasure to have your company today for Words of Wisdom.